This layout here, and I'm going to show you guys a little bit of this thing called Flexbox, which is going to make our layouts a lot easier to handle. Okay, so I've set up here in my code editor a couple files. I've got my microblog.html, my microblog.css. I want to get some just basic HTML here. How do I do that? Exclamation point, tab, good. And I'll just make the title for this guy microblog. Okay. I want to also link this CSS sheet, so how do I do that? So I'll make a link tag, and then I'm going to say microblog.css. Cool. Let's go back to our layout and see what we're doing. So we know inside of our body tag we're going to have this header element. And I really don't need anything else that's going to wrap everything. I can just handle this straight out the box, right? So let's take care of that. Let me inspect it and see if I can find out what color this header is. Here we go. Oh, can't seem to get a color picker there. Let me try to get another one somewhere. Oh. Somewhere in here. Let's inspect. Maybe. Do I have color anywhere? Does anybody know how to get that color picker without going through this tedium? Yeah, so it just seems like there must be a better way. Okay, so if I click on that, let's go here. So that color is this. I'll just grab that. Okay, so let's create this header here. What do we want to do? Like an H2? Anybody care? All right. So up in the header, it just says the Lorem microblog, right? So the Lorem microblog. Okay. And I want to target that over here. So what I can do is I could stick with a class because maybe I'll have some other H2 tags on my page, right? So let's just say dot header, and I'll say background is going to be this color. Okay, now I need to add that class over here. Header. Okay, let's just refresh our page and make sure it's looking like we're expecting. No, seems like my class did not take, right? Why is that? Class was header. Did my style sheet come through? Microblog. Ooh, it's empty. Sometimes you have to do like a hard refresh on these guys. Did I not save it? Oh, geez, I didn't save it. Sorry, guys. Brain's not working just yet. All right. Whoo! I got all this space up at the top of the page. What's that coming from?
Is it like default?
Browser defaults, right? So let's create a little reset at the beginning where we're just kind of zeroing that stuff out. So up at the top here, we're just going to do asterisk to select everything. We'll set padding to 0, margin 0. And then I also want to change this box sizing property, right? Because that bugs me that they use content box. I want to control it using where the actual borders are. So we'll say border box. Oops. Save that. Let's refresh. Okay, cool. That's a little better, right? I'm going to go with a sans serif font. Not super critical here, but font family, sans serif. I think the font they're using in the picture is some kind of like a cartoon font. Oh crap. Comic Sans, yeah. So we would ultimately have to link in some outside font, which I don't really want to goof around with right now. Okay, and it looks like there's a little bit of padding going on up here, right? So let's just eyeball this and we'll say how much padding do we want? maybe 15. That's a good call. All right. Let's go there. So inside here, we'll say padding 15 pixels. Let's go back. Seems like this thing has a border around it too, doesn't it? You see that black under there? All right, so let's give it a border. Say border 3 pixels solid black. Not too bad. Kind of garish, you know, but whatever. That's how it looks. All right, now underneath that, it looks like we have a little bit of margin, right? There's a little bit of space in between it and whatever comes underneath. So I'll just give it a bottom margin of like 10 pixels. Margin bottom 10 pixels. Okay. And then under that, what we were talking about is let's just have a container that sort of holds everything underneath this thing, right? Because everything else is going to be shifted in from the outer bounds. Okay, so under this, let's just create a div, which is going to hold everything. And I'll go ahead and give this a class of wrapper, since it is essentially wrapping everything, right? Our wrapper class, oops, is going to be restricted in width. And I think in the picture it said something like 990. Yeah, so let's stick with 990. We'll make it have that width, and then we'll also set the right and left margins to auto. That way it's nice and centered. All right, so wrapper width 990 pixels, margin 0 auto. Okay. Let's see what else we need. So inside this big wrapper that we're creating, we're going to have a couple things. We're going to have this sidebar, all in purple, right? And then we're also going to have this thing here, which is holding everything on the right side. So let's create those two guys. I'll say div, and check this out. If you guys want to automatically add a class to it, you can just say div.sidebar. Okay? All right, and then over here, we're going to have, this is like our main area, so we'll just say div class is going to be main. All right, that's cool. What kinds of things do I want with my sidebar here? Maybe I should go grab the color for that, right? So that we can get that thing displaying. Oh, I still have that one open. All right, so using my color picker, let's see what the background of this guy is. D5A6BD. Copy that. Okay. So over here, let's target the sidebar. Okay. I want it to have a background of that color. And then I also want it to have this same kind of border. It's looking like 3 pixels, solid, black. Okay. And we're not going to go over CSS variables, but this actually is a thing. So if I wanted to establish somewhere in my style sheet that I've got this special border type that I'm going to keep using, I could actually set up some type of variable for that, so that I would only have to change it in one place if ultimately I end up changing things with that border. Something to look into if you guys like get really into CSS are these things called CSS variables. Okay, so I've got my border there. It looks to me like maybe this has an explicit height set to it as well, right? How high should I make that, you think? Maybe like 600 pixels-ish? Something like that. So let's give it an 60%. Yeah, I'm probably just going to stick with pixels on this guy. I mean, I could potentially use percentage, but I'm just going to stick with pixels. So let's do that. Say height. Question?
What if you wanted to just not really define that yet, put a picture in it, and then do, I guess, some padding to stretch that out with the top and bottom sides to adjust to picture?
That could work too. Yeah, decent idea. Now I want to show you guys vertical centering though, so that's why this is going to come into play. So I want to show you how can we actually get that stuff up in the center. And we're going to use Flexbox for that. All right, so let's see what our page looks like so far. Oops. Okay, not too bad. Obviously that's very wide, right, which wasn't exactly what we want. How wide do we think we want this to be? I'm going to say maybe around like 200 pixels. Something, or yeah, maybe like 225. So give it a width, 225 pixels. Back. Maybe wider than that, right? 250? 75. That's pretty good. All right. So the next thing that we need is we need to basically establish what we want the width of this other side to be, right? Because if I make it span the entire thing, then of course it's going to be pushed down onto the next line.
The main content here is 990 pixels, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, 990. Yeah, we could do that. We could even use that calc function that we played with yesterday. Okay, so I'm going to say for the main area, we have this class. So let's target that. And let's say the width is going to be calc 990 pixels minus 275 pixels. Okay. However, let's try this real quick. Actually, let me put something in the main content area so that we can at least see it. I'll just put like, here's some text. And then let's just refresh this and take a look. Hey, wait a minute. It's still down below. Why is that? Because by default, these divs are going to have a display set to block, which means they stack vertically. Okay? Now, yesterday we were talking about how we can make them stack horizontally using the inline block property, or the value, I should say, or the display property. Today we're going to try a different display property, and it's called Flex.
What's the difference between the two?
Between inline block and Flex?
Inline block versus Flex.
Well, there are a number of differences. First difference is that with Flex, you can really control exactly how you want the thing to stretch across the page. So with inline block, we're essentially, well, and there's some caveats to that too, but generally when you use inline block, everything's sort of just filling in from left to right. Versus with Flex, I can actually span something across the entire div.
So does Flex, for majority of the part, replace inline block?
Yeah, ultimately, like once you start using Flex, you can probably, you could probably live inline block, kick to the curb. I'm not saying you would never ever use it, but generally Flex is going to be very useful for you. All right, so let's change the actual display property of this wrapper. I'm going to say I want the display of that to be Flex. Okay, and let's see what happens now. Okay, cool. So that's pretty good. It actually puts these guys next to each other. Pretty much what I wanted. However, I do want a little bit of space inside here. So how can I get that? Maybe instead of subtracting 275, maybe I subtract a little bit more than that, right? This won't work, but then we'll figure out how to fix it in a second. All right, so I'm going to try to create maybe a space of 10 pixels to be consistent with that margin bottom that we have on the header. So I'm going to say 285 pixels. Whoops, I changed the wrong thing. What the heck?
Your computer died.
No, the computer's still alive. This thing's just really sensitive. Darn it. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to save that, and we're going to look at this. Oh, wait, but nothing changed. So here's why. I'm saying I want this to be a little bit smaller than we had it before, but still Flex by default is going to fill things in from left to right. I'm going to change that. So here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to say, where are we? So inside of our wrapper, we have this display of Flex. And I'm going to say, justify content, space between. Okay? And what this is going to do is it's basically going to push all of my divs, it's going to evenly distribute them across my container, which is exactly what I want, right? Because I want that little margin in there, I want everything else pushed to the edge. So let's see if that worked. Go back here. Cool, it gave me a little bit of a margin, right? And that's all I wanted, just something small.
You have a border to it for more visibility.
Yeah, sure, let's do that. Good idea. So in my main, let's just say border, 1 pic solid black. Okay. Okay, so now that we can at least see that it's there, even though it's ultimately going to be like an invisible container, right?
Yeah, I just want to see it for now.
Yeah, I like that. All right. So the next thing that we've got is we have this piece, this little guy, right? The little microblog. All right, let's grab a color for that real quick. Question, Griffin?
How do you round it? Because I've noticed on a couple of assignments, like we've had a nav bar or a header that the corners are rounded. How do you make it?
I'll show you in a second. Yeah, we'll do that. So the color here, border radius, yeah. Okay, so here's the background color for this. And we'll just create maybe a class for this guy. We'll just say this is blog header. Okay, I'll say background is that. And then again, we still have this border, 3 pics solid black. Okay, and then as Griffin was asking, we also want to round these borders because that's how it looks in the layout. So I'm going to pick a border radius, which means that I want to create that rounding effect. And then my radius, I'm guessing, is maybe going to be like 10 pixels. That may be too much, but we'll adjust it if we need to.
When you say do a border radius, does that subtract an even amount off each corner?
It's like if you would think about it as 1/4 of a circle, the radius is just from that corner to the outer edge of the circle, right? Okay, so I've got this blog header that I've created, and let's just create the div for it. So, oops, class blog header. What's the text that's in there? The Lorem microblog by Foobar. Okay, cool. So I'll say this is an H1 because maybe this is the most important header on the page. Blog. What's this going to be? An H3 by Foobar. Cool. It's one of my favorite authors. All right. Okay, so we're almost there. However, it looks like things are going to be centered inside here, so how can I handle that? Yeah, would that work? It actually wouldn't, but let's make sure we kind of understand why. So if I give a text align just to the blog header, it's going to center align these guys, but those guys won't be centered themselves. Now, if I give a text align center of each one of these, that should work. So how can I target those two guys? I could say something like this. Say blog header h1, comma, blog header h2, and then we'll say text align center, right? Oh, that wasn't an h2. Whoops. That was an h3. Okay, save that. There we go. Now it looks like maybe we have some padding on this guy as well, right? Okay, so let's do some top and bottom padding. Okay, so I'll just say padding, maybe 15 pixels, 0. Whoa. Did that give padding to my headers too? Kind of did, right? Oh, geez, yes, yes, yes. User error. All right, cool. Let's put it up here inside of our blog header. Hey, that looks better. Cool, we're in pretty good shape. So now what I want to do is establish another container for these things because I'm going to try to use Flex on those as well, right? So we'll just create, I don't know, inner container. And then inside that, I'm going to say I want a display property of Flex. And then I also want the justify content to be spaced between because I want them to be evenly distributed. Justify content space between. Okay. And then inside that, I'm going to have these three boxes. Okay. So let's do that. Let's go. Got my blog header, and then underneath this, we're going to have div.inner container. And then inside that guy, that's where I'm going to have my three boxes, right? So maybe I'll just create some class for those boxes. We'll just say div class box times 3. Boom. All right. How do I want to style this box? It looks like I've got that same border, right? I just need to get whatever the background color is. Let's go here. There's that. Okay, so let's come down here and create this box class. Say background, this color. I want my border, again, 3 pix solid, black. Okay, what else do I want? Maybe some padding on these guys as well. So I'm saying maybe like 10 pixels of padding. Padding, 10 pixels. Whoops, not XP, PX. All right, and then in terms of how wide I want them to be, let's see that. Flip it. So in terms of the width, let's. How do we want to do this? Do we want to like calculate it and then subtract 20 because I want there to be margins of 10 for each one, right? Yeah, let's just do that. So let's say width is going to be calc 100% minus, or I'm sorry, divided by 3 minus 20. I don't know if this will work as expected, but let's try it. They're going to need to have some content inside to even see this, though. So let's just say lorem, lorem, lorem. Okay. Why did that width get calculated so funkily? All right, let me try something else. Let's say we just want to be 100% divided by 3. That work? Oh, that's a little better. Yeah, so my calc function didn't work exactly as I wanted it to. But before we keep tweaking this, let's just add some bottom margin. Yeah, sorry about that flicker. Let's add some bottom margin to our blog header, right? Looks like it needs about 10 pixels. Blog header, margin, bottom, 10 px. Okay, pretty cool. How am I going to get these margins here? Anybody have any ideas? Maybe I can do some grouping with my calc function. So I could say something like 100 divided by 3 minus 20 pixels. Does that work? What? Did I calculate that wrong? Should it be 5 pixels? Wait. I'm losing my mind. Oh, because each one is now having that 20 subtracted from it, right? Okay, I messed this up. Now I know how to fix it. So we should say 100%. We'll just say 100% minus 20. It's not doing anything? Jeez. Sorry about this. Okay, I think it's coming back. Sorry. Thanks for telling me too, because I could have gotten like 5 more minutes in and be like, we're not seeing anything. Okay, now it's working, right? Okay, so first I'm going to subtract that 20 pixels from the 100, and then from that I'm going to divide by 3. That should work, right? Whew. I feel so much better. Okay, now let's see what else we need to do. All we have to do is kind of put some content in there, so that shouldn't be too bad. A most posty post. That's awesome. All right, yeah. Okay, so here, let's just add in a h2, a most posty post. Okay, the other one says another posty post and a posty post. Okay. H2, another posty post. H2, a posty post. Okay. All right, that's cool. I'm not going to get like super into it, but let's just create our footer and call it a day, right? I mean, the rest of that stuff, I'm pretty sure you guys could do as far as like doing some text on here. So let's do the footer. The footer looks like it's going to need that that border radius rounding, right? It's going to need some coloration. So let's go grab the color. Here's our color. And then, yes,
So,
Nick. Mm-hmm.
If you just click the circle that's there, it automatically copies it to. So like you chose the color, click the circle, and then it copies it out.
This circle that I'm on
Like
right now.
next to the eavesdropper, that's it.
Oh, this. Oh, yes, it does. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm clearly not an expert at this. Thanks, I appreciate it. All right, so that's our background, and then we also need the border, right? 3 pix solid black, and then we need that border radius. 10 pixels. What else did we want? A little padding on that? A little bit? Padding, I'll say padding of like, I want to say 10 pixels. I'm going against the grain here. All right, and then underneath here is where I want to put my footer. Okay, the footer just has a bunch of placeholder text in there, so let's use our lorem for that. And let's see how this looks. Okay, so that's pretty good. All I really need is to create a top margin in this guy. Does that look like a color? Oh, it is the right. You know what? It looks funky on this, but it looks good on my screen.
No,
That's what I'm saying. When I see it up here, I'm like, wait, it looks exactly. It doesn't look that way on my screen. The projector lies. Don't believe it's lies. I don't know if any of you have seen the movie Memento. Yeah. All right. Right. You know what I'm talking about? He writes that note. Okay. So let's just do some top margin on this guy, and that should basically be all we need. So let's say down here in the footer, margin top 10 pixels. Okay, so we're almost there. Let's do the centering over here of that box, right? That would be kind of fresh. Otherwise, this looks pretty good, no? Be cool if I take out this border? We're done with that, right? So let's dump that in my wrapper. Where was that border that I put? Oh, here it is. Okay. Comment that out. And then in my sidebar, this is where I'm going to want to center things vertically, right? Okay. So in order to do that, this used to be quite difficult to do vertical centering because essentially you'd have to know how tall was the thing inside and then also potentially the height of the container as well. In this case, let's say I don't know the height of the thing that I'm trying to center. Flexbox to the rescue. Okay, so I can say sidebar, I want the display of this guy to be a display of flex. And then I want to use a new property that we haven't touched. It's align items. Okay? And I'm going to say center because I want to align everything inside that box to its vertical center. Okay? So think about it as when we use justify content, that's how are we laying things out horizontally? Align items is how are we laying them out vertically. Okay? All right, so I've got that set up, and then inside my sidebar, was there some kind of, okay, check out my vertically centered add. So I'll just create like a, I don't know. I'll make that a p tag, whatever. Check out my vertically centered add. Okay. And then underneath that, I'm just going to have like a white box. It's just showing, you know, there would be an image there, right? So we'll say div class add. And then over here for my add, let's do, we'll say height. Is it a square? Oh yeah, perfect square. So what's that going to be? We can fix this in a second. So height and width, 200 pixels. Okay, background would be what? White. Right? Because otherwise we won't even see it. It will just be, it will have like a transparent background. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Oh, uh-oh. All right, so all I really need to do though is I need to pack these two guys into one container, right? And then it will be nice and centered vertically the way that I want it to. Okay, So here's another another little trick here. If I want to wrap two elements inside of another element, I can do Command Shift P, or if you're on a PC, Control Shift P. Open up the drop down and then just type in wrap with abbreviation. And I can wrap that with a div. Okay, let's go back and see it. Okay, so it's vertically centered. However, what are the inner dimensions of this box here? Because I want it to be all the way, right? Let's give our sidebar a little bit of padding here. I think we're sticking with 10 pixels all around. 10 pixels. Okay, meaning that this thing could be how wide? So if I'm looking at my box model here, what do I have? I've got 249 to deal with for my content, right? So I can make it 249 in width and 249 in height, and I think we pretty much got it. So let's come down here and change these two guys. Oops, 49. Pretty good, right? I mean, obviously there are little like tweaks here and there that we could do to make it truly right and adding the extra text and stuff. But I think we got the layout mostly there. Questions about Flexbox? Why it's so awesome?
Yeah, why did you show this earlier?
Why did I what?
Why did you show us this earlier?
Pretty easy yesterday.
You know, yeah.
that's good.
Sometimes it's sort of important to learn the harder way of doing things,
No.
and then you're like,
Yeah.
now I'm a boss. So give me the easy stuff, right?
You're putting us to pain and torture now. You're just like, oh, here's this.
Here's this thing that solves all your